Hey everybody, it's Ryan from Pi Records, and I'm here with Mikey from the Urban Surf Kings. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Ryan?
Very good.
Thanks.
Pleasure to have you on. I know you guys have been carrying the surf music torch for quite some time now.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think I think we're 27 years now. I think we've been going. So, but only 25 years with the new lineup.
Only 25 years.
So, yeah, with
So,
the new
so,
guys. So, yeah.
so tell me how it all started.
Um, well, I think I just stopped playing with another band. It was sort of like a living color style band in the 90s. That sort of style, original stuff here in Halifax. And that band sort of wrapped up. And looking for something else to do, play, wasn't sure what I was going to do. Of course, most people my age saw Pulp Fiction, and it was like, oh, right, that stuff, that surf music is so cool. I forgot about that. Because, some of the first songs I learned were like Wipeout and Rebel
Yeah.
Rouser. And, those were the early tunes that I learned on guitar when I first started playing. And so it's like, oh, yeah. And my wife said, well, you should start a surf band. And, oh, that's kind of a neat idea. So got a bass player that I knew and the drummer guy I knew. And I said to the drummer guys, his name was Spunky. And I said, you want to play in a surf band? He's like, oh yeah, I'd love to play in a surf band. He's like, what surf? So that's how we started. And yeah, we've been going ever since. The lineup, the first two guys in the band, went on to other things in their life. And then about 2 years after we started, the current lineup
And
has been going.
who's in the current lineup?
So my brother, Inky, is the drummer. And so, I kind of co-opted him into the band, being a relative and all that stuff. And then Crash Flag is the bass player. And I met him when we were in university studying jazz studies. So yeah, so that's the band.
Awesome. I love the writing. I mean, the way you play and the way the songs turn out, it's like, I don't know how to explain it other than when I was upstairs listening to it, I said it's almost as if the song writes itself.
I wish it was that easy sometimes. Now, some of them certainly do write themselves. Some songs, I'm just trying to think, Astro Surfer Go Go, the album, just listen to it. I think like the Cosmonaut's Apprentice wrote itself pretty quickly, but some of those other songs were probably, like a couple months picking away at them, or some of them may have been a couple of years old. I can't quite remember now. So some of the stuff comes really easily. Some of the stuff is, gets to that point, and then it just needs that extra something to push it over the edge. So, keep picking away at it.
It seems like a very natural, a really natural style of music. It's not forced. It sounds like it's just something that comes out of you.
Well, I mean, like we have been doing it for such a long time. And so it's kind of, the band is kind of like, has this sort of musical ESP going on, which is nice because, I mean, we've been playing as a unit, like I said, for, quarter of a century now, 25 years. And so, you kind of tune into each other's playing style. We knocked that album off, I think, like in a day and a half.
Wow.
Just played it live off the floor and threw a couple overdubs on here and there to flesh a couple parts out. But yeah, basically the tracks were done in a day and a half, with including the overdubs.
That's a lot of tracks too. It's like 13.
Yeah, I think there's 13 or 14 on that one.
Yeah.
But we were ready for it. Yeah.
Nice. And I love the aspect that maybe that's what was hitting my ear, is that you played live off the floor.
Yeah. And when possible, we like to do that. Now with the new album we're working on, I'm not sure if that's going to happen live off the floor or not, just with the it's trickier to get into some studios and stuff. The pandemic's still going, but we've done several stuff in the past too, where we've just emailed back and forth and things sound great. So
awesome.
Yeah, I won't tell you which ones those are. You can just have to figure those out.
Are you right now trading demos, or are you actually recording parts and sending them back and forth?
I think probably what we're going to do, we're doing, I think we're the drum and guitar parts are pretty much done for a lot of the tunes. And Crash will come in and when he's feeling up to it, come in and then record the bass parts. He'll probably come over to my place and do that. And then we'll send it off to Chris Thompson, a friend of ours who lives about 2 or 3 hours away from here, to mix it. And he'll mix it, make it sound good, and then we'll send it off to get mastered, and then put it out in some format or other. Chris, we first worked with Chris on the Astro Surfer Go-Go album, and really loved what he did. And since then, he's done a bunch of our sort of digital singles and our, what was the one, Torrance, the one we recorded live in California at the Surf Guitar Festival a couple of years ago. He mixed that one too. So yeah, he's great.
How do you put the music out yourself? Have you ever had any help putting them out, or is it a totally DIY thing?
We've done both routes. We've worked with a couple of labels in the past. We did a live album with Om Records out of Italy back in probably 2010, 2011. Astro Surf Go-Go was a co-release with us and Surf Cookie Records out of Greece. And but for the most part, I think we're pretty much putting it out on our own. It's just nicer to sort of control all the aspects of it. And we've done some work with some other things. Sometimes it turned out not as quite like we would like them to. Not with Surf Cookie or any of those. They're really good. But we've done things in the past with others that were okay. But I think we prefer to be in kind of control of what we're releasing completely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure people can find your stuff if you're doing things on your own on a website or Bandcamp, right?
Yeah, if they go to our what do you call it, our boutique label, or the label we gave it. So you look for Reverb Ranch on Bandcamp, you'll find our stuff. Or I think if you search Urban Surf Kings, it also comes up. So there's stuff from all our releases, plus some of the solo stuff I did as Rev Hank, and the one EP I did with the Wadadley Riders, which is Lorenzo Surfer Joe band back in 2009, I think it was, for an Antiguan tour. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff on there.
Awesome. So you said you were in Halifax?
Yeah, in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
So what's it like playing surf music in Nova Scotia?
It's fine. It's worked out great for us. I mean, when we started, we were one of the only surf bands. Maybe we were the only surf band. Then a couple of surf bands sort of came and went, and we just kept going. And after so many years, you just become one of those established acts around that people see, and it will come out and see. Up until the pandemic, we were doing about a gig a month,
okay,
which is pretty good for a city of about 300,000 people.
Yeah,
and all the gigs were good, good turnout on everything, and so now there's another surf band up from Bridgewater, which is about an hour away from here. That's the Green Reflectors.
Yes.
So they're out our ways. Yeah, them young boys. So yeah, we've done a bunch of shows with them, especially in their early days when they were just starting out. We put them on the bill with us, and so they're a lot of fun. And then there's a couple of more bands sort of have popped up across Canada since. But yeah, we haven't stopped.
Yeah, there's quite a few surf bands in Canada, which I guess it should surprise me because it's everywhere. But yeah. Being that not many people from the United States would expect that, but there are a lot of really good surf bands in Canada.
Oh, absolutely, there are. I mean, there was tradition right back in the late 50s, early 60s of instrumental stuff that eventually became surf band music, like the Esquires was one group. Of course, I can't think of any of them off the top of my head right now, but there's a whole bunch of them. There were a couple of collections put out. It was Collectible Records put out like 4 volumes of Canadian surf music. The Gem Tones,
wow,
band, and the one from around here, which were the Great Scots. So there were a lot of bands there, and then of course Shadowy Men on Shadowy Planet.
Yeah.
Quite popular, quite well known back in the 80s and early 90s. Huevos Rancheros as well from Calgary, and then for a while it seemed like we were the only ones that I knew of. I mean, I'm sure there was a couple other, but it was the only ones that I knew of going. And now there's the Babylonies, I think, Men in Gray Suits, both from Quebec. There's Mark Malibu and the Wasagas. Stuff right across Canada now.
Yeah, it's all great stuff.
Oh yeah.
There's a really the Surf Hermits, which I think is on the other coast in comparison to you.
Yeah, they might be British Columbia, I think.
Yeah. And Night Chill, they're really good. They were on.
I don't know them.
Yeah, they were on that comp that Mark Malibu did, the Surfing Kitty Christmas.
Oh, okay. I've heard them then because we're on that comp. So
awesome.
So yeah. Oh yes, right.
Yeah, so there's a lot of and he does a lot of good stuff for the rest of the bands, in his area.
Oh yeah.
So
it's nice because
have you heard his podcast?
Oh yeah. No, actually, I know Mark quite well.
Good.
He was first met him down here on the East Coast. He came down with when he can't remember the name of his. He had a rockabilly band though, a really good rockabilly band, the Millwinders, and they were down here playing, and we were playing at the same festival, and I got to meet him there. Actually, he saved my bacon because I had one of my strap pegs went flying out and needed a screwdriver to put it on in the middle of the show, and he came running up with a screwdriver. So that's how we met. But yeah, no, I've been in touch with Mark, and actually I'm up in Toronto for some other related music shows, not related to surf stuff, in May, and we'll probably get together then. So no, Mark's, yeah, he's great. I mean, and Toronto is such a big city that it's great to see a lot of bands coming out of there.
The ST 101 festival was just announced.
Did they put the lineup out yet?
I'm not
sure. The lineup yet.
I haven't seen the lineup, but I did see the dates. It's at the end of July.
Yeah. That's right.
But you said you played there. For people who, especially bands, right now I'm talking to bands about what it's like for them to go out and tour. What was it like for you to play the ST 101 festival?
Oh, it was great. We went out in 2018. So Jeff Hansen, Big Tiki Dude there, brought us over. I've known Jeff, 3 years sort of via interweb world, but actually met Jeff in person for the first time in 2015 when the Urban Surf Kings played at the Surf and Joe Festival in Italy. Jeff was there too. So I got to meet him in person, and we talked about, setting up the show in California. So he set up 4 dates for us out there, which was really cool. We played, every show we played was with the Tremolo Beer Gut. So that was they're such a good live band. But yeah, we played the Barclay one night in Pasadena, small little club there with Chris Barfield and
Frankie Volcanic.
He was not. No, it was his name escapes me at the moment, but from Argentina, great guitar player. El Papu. He was playing with Chris, and some of the things. So they were the Kaisers of California. So we played a show there. Then we went to the Purple Orchid at El Segundo. Played with the Black Ball Bandits, Frank and the Pool Boys. A great show. And then we did the Surf SG 101 thing at Alpine Village with a slew of phenomenal bands, and then wrapped up with Surf Dogs at Huntington Beach with a bunch of bands too. So yeah, it's great. Really, there was a fantastic turnout for every show, especially the Purple Orchid, small little club, but it was just like rafters. It's kind of frightening to think about that now, but back in the time, pre-pandemic days, it was phenomenal. And this ST 101 festival, Jeff treated us so well. It was, and all the bands. The surf community is so friendly and so supportive.
Really, yeah.
It was just a great experience. Yeah.
Here's a good question. Since you've played quite a quite a distance from your hometown. What's it like what's the difference between you playing in America, Italy, and Nova Scotia? What are some of the differences or similarities?
Well, I think the similarities is people are really into it, for one, at all the shows that we play. There's always lots of dancing going on. People were saying nobody dances in California's surf shows. That's wrong. There are people dancing. So that was a lot of fun. So the similarities is there is an audience for surf music everywhere. The biggest difference for us is not having our own gear when we're out of Halifax, but you know that you make do. I mean, it's a guitar, so you figure it out. The two festivals that we played, like Surfer Joe and SG 101, I guess they're just so different in the fact that there were longer events. Like Surfer Joe was like 4 days, I think, 3-4 days. So everything in the world comes there. For that, because there were bands from Mexico right over to Croatia to everywhere in between, and Brazil, et cetera, and Europe, of course, in the States. SG 101, there were bands from Europe and us from Canada, and then a lot of local bands. I just find the camaraderie so phenomenal. And because the SG 101 site and the different Facebook sites, you get to know these people, before you get there. And it's cool because, going over to Italy, if we did that, or California for that sake, if we did that like 20 years ago, not as many people would have known who we were. But, when we were over there, I got the impression that, there were a handful of people that were excited to, come out to see the Urban Surf Kings. Yeah, I could be completely wrong. That's what they said. So that was really nice. So differences, the Italian audience was the audience at the Italian show was definitely really geared up, but there were several thousand there. I think there were like 10,000 over the whole weekend. So that was like a super hype show. But run amazingly well also by Lorenzo and his group. So yeah, it's a blast. Highly recommended.
Oh yes, that's one of the things that I would look forward to doing. Plus, when I spoke to Lorenzo, he was such a cool guy and very, very down to earth and mellow. And you wouldn't expect that he's so busy because he's so mellow.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I think that's why he can be busy, because he's relaxed about it. The first time I met Lorenzo was I think 2009, and I read about the Surfer Joe festival, and I was like, oh, my wife and I are going to be in Italy around that time for vacation, so I'd like to go see the festival. Where is it? Blah blah blah. And he emails me back saying, no, you have to play. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not, my band's not coming on vacation with me. He said, that's all right. So, his band at the time, the Wadadley Riders, backed me up. So I sent them some tunes, met them there. Then he's like, we have to make a tour of Antigua, because he was based out of Antigua at that time, but putting the festival on in Italy. So I think it was April maybe of 2010, I flew down to Antigua for like a week to play with them. And then 2015, it's like, well, I should probably bring the rest of the band over so they can have fun. So yeah, and then SG 101 in 2018, Lorenzo was there too. So run into him a lot.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
awesome.
He's a great guy.
So you've had some. It sounds like you've had some really, really great times in the number of years you've played with. What I say is a lot of bands would be envious of your journey.
Oh, yeah, I suspect so. But it was. I think a lot of it had to do with sticking around for so long as a unit, and I think because we've consistently put out material, we've got a lot of releases. So I think that keeps us sort of on the radar. of people, and just being active in the different surf communities, and figuring out how can we make this work to travel, to go play places. So in Canada we're lucky because there are some government grants that you can apply for to help offset some touring costs. So that helped us in Italy there's a group called Music Nova Scotia, which helped us out with that. So that was phenomenal. But with California, most of that was funded because one of our songs got placed in a VW commercial.
Oh, wow.
But actually we ended up breaking even. We ended up breaking even in California anyways, which was great. It was phenomenal. Yeah. But, so we try to make it work. It's kind of, it's a vacation, but if we can make it work financially as to our advantage, that we don't go too far.
Yeah.
Then we'll absolutely do that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But no, it's been, we've worked hard at it.
So you said your bass player is kind of on the mend right now. What are you doing in the meantime? You can't play shows, but have you been writing new things?
Yeah, so that's like we were talking about earlier with the demoing stuff that we're doing, or whether it's demos or they come in to be mixed as final things, probably mixed as final things. So doing a lot of writing, recording stuff, going back and forth with my brother. He will record drum parts at his home and then send them to me, and then we'll kind of put them all together. And then when Crash is up to it, we're probably in the next month or so, probably next month, then he'll come in and do some bass parts and get it mixed, mastered. So yeah, do a lot of writing, a lot of practicing. I also have an Exotica, sort of one-man Exotica project.
Yeah.
Exotica. Yeah, so I tinker away at that, and so I'm always busy musically doing stuff.
That I intentionally asked that question twice because sometimes it gets lost along the way that a lot of surf musicians are in other bands. They have multiple bands.
Oh yeah. For me, it's like the only live band really is Urban Surf Kings that I play in. So like UK Exotica is just kind of a one-man thing, and my Rev Hank stuff is just me and usually playing some stuff, and then using my brother playing the drum stuff. But for live stuff, it's always Urban Surf Kings. Though I do have a project with my sister who's a dancer, traditional, indigenous, and modern dancer that we've been working on. So that's what the 5 shows in Toronto are going to be coming up in May.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah. So yeah, lots of different musical stuff.
So where can people what's the name of the group that you're going to be playing with your sister, and what kind of music is that?
Okay, so it's called Sky Dancers, and it's our great grandfather. I'm from the Mohawk First Nations in Ganawage, which is a reserve just off Montreal Island. And our great grandfather, the Mohawks are traditionally ironwork, like very well known as great iron workers, skyscrapers and stuff like that. So our great grandfather, Louis, when he was, I guess it'd be in the early 20s, it was nearly, I can't remember the exact date, but was working on building a bridge in Quebec City, and the bridge collapsed. And 33 of our, I think it was 33 of people from our reserve died in that collapse. So my sister and I thought, well, we have been wanting to work on, like I've provided a lot of music for her dances and stuff that she does. So we wanted to work on something specifically together. So we decided that would be a good project to work on. So basically it tells the story of the Quebec bridge disaster and its effect on our community of Ganawage, and the resilience of the community and how it's thriving now, but how it all sort of, that was a significant disaster and event of the time. And musically, it's traditional indigenous stuff. So I'm using a lot of sort of traditional drums and rattles and vocables, the scene style. mixed in with some modern sounds, modern synth stuff. I do play live with the guitar, so I'm playing live guitar along the backing tracks and a guitar karaoke, I guess, I don't know. But so I'm playing along live with the backing tracks and reacting to what the dancers are doing for certain pieces. So it's a big production. There's a bunch of dancers and big sets, and we're at the Harbourfront Centre on Victoria Day weekend. So anybody who's in Toronto, that's just around the 20th of May. So we're doing 5 shows in Toronto. We did a show here in Halifax in September. Done shows in Montreal. So it's a bigger than the Surf King shows.
Excellent.
It's a lot of fun.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Tell me a little bit about your Exotica project.
The Exotica. So why did I start that even? Well, I've always been a fan of sort of Exotica, tiki, whatever you want to call it, type music, like Martin Denny, Les Baxter, Escawal, that stuff. And so I also play ukulele, semi-professionally as well. So Urban Surf Kings actually have a ukulele version of us that we play surf and jazz numbers, but with ukuleles. I just started writing one, I guess it was when did it come out? Just before the pandemic on Sharawaji Records. So it would have been just before the pandemic I was working on it. So it's ukulele and slide ukulele.
Wow.
With if you just hang on a second, I'll grab it. It's right over here. My slide ukulele, and it's really quite something to see. So I really into playing a lot of laps steel. I have a dobro that I play. I'm not good at it, but I really enjoy playing it. And so I got this friend of mine from Winnipeg in Canada made this, I call it a Yukabjorn. So kind of like a Weissenborn style guitar, the Hawaiian 6-string ones, but it's in a tenor uke size. So it's still relatively tuned too. I haven't had it out in a while.
I've never seen one of those.
Yeah, so what's that?
I've never seen one of those.
No, they're quite rare. This, I think, was the first one he made. And I think he's made a couple since. But let's see. Angle it. Camera down a bit. So that was awful, but that's the uke thing. I apologize for some of that playing. I haven't had this out in a while.
No, it's awesome. It's
one of those things you have to sort of keep at. But it's great. So that I was just started recording it, and had like a couple of uke kind of tunes. Actually, I think one of the first ones I did was a John and the Night Riders piece, Rumble at Waikiki, and I recorded that, and it's like then I did one of Surfer Joe's tunes, Twist In, and then started writing my own, and then did some Surf King songs, and then eventually it was like, oh, I've got write a few more and have an album, and so did that and put it out, and like I said, with Sharawaji Records, and it's fun. It's a great little project. Slowly picking it away at the second album.
It's kind of like going down the rabbit hole. Once you find something, you kind of obsess over it because you're so way into it.
Absolutely, and that's what happened. Like during the pandemic, I did like an orchestral spaghetti western album.
Oh wow!
Went down that rabbit hole.
Wait, is that the Urban Surf Kings, or how did you?
No, that would have been under that would have been a Rev Hank one. So that's on the Bandcamp, the Urban Surf Kings Bandcamp site. It's what's it called? I've gone blank. But it's yeah, it's on there. Just give me a second here. I should know the names of my own albums.
Well, there's so many.
Yeah, El Camino de los Muertos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's on there. You can listen to it on Bandcamp. Yeah, it's more orchestrals with I did all the pieces with baritone guitar and you know, a virtual orchestra sort of thing. And yeah, and you know, I picked away at that during the pandemic.
That's interesting. You mentioned baritone guitar because there's, out of all the interviews I've done, I've only heard a few people mention that. What is the difference between playing a regular 6-string and a baritone?
Well, the baritone is tuned lower. For one, it's regular guitar, you know, is tuned in E. The baritones are either tuned in A or B for the most part. Strings are the same relationship to each other. So, you know, you play an E chord shape on a baritone, the way mine's tuned, you get a B chord. So it's just nice and low sounding. It's a longer scale neck, of course, because it's a lower instrument. I've got an electro one, which I use Bring It Out Live. We have a handful of tunes that we've done with baritone guitar. Actually, I'll send you one of the 45s that's just baritone
awesome.
guitar. And yeah, and it's I just love the sound of it. You know, it's just big, and as a 3-piece, it really fills out too, because sonically it's such a big sound.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
and they're beautiful guitars. They look beautiful.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I really like them. I've had mine for quite a few years, and I just love it. Though it did give me tendonitis in my wrist.
Did it really?
Over the over the pandemic. I think because I was playing it so much while doing that album.
Is it the gauge of string?
Yeah, it's a thicker gauge of string for sure, and the neck is, I think, a little thinner on this one and wider than what I'm used to playing for the most part. And I think I was just playing it too much and just wore my wrist more. But yeah, it's back. My wrist is back after physiotherapy and all that stuff. So yeah, I can play it again.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much, Mikey. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about or promote or mention that I haven't asked?
Let me think. I think we've covered pretty much everything. I mean, it's a ball to play the stuff, and the surf community is so cool here. I suspect a lot of sort of these niche, smaller, not pop music communities are hopefully as you know, enjoyable and connective as these are. It's been great. We've you know, had nothing but positive experiences with anything to do with surf music, you know, whether it's live shows or interviews or traveling, or it's just been great. It's been, you know, a phenomenal way to spend the last 25 years for sure. Though I think if you told myself, you know, my heavy metal self 30 years ago that you'd be in a successful surf band, and you know, I probably would have just laughed and walked away. But here it is. So yeah, it's definitely, you know, people can come check out, go to urbansurfkings.com, and that'll give you a link to all the sites that we have, you know, the Facebook stuff, the website, the Bandcamp, all those things. And we should have something coming out hopefully this year. Whether it's a 45 with some extra downloads or a CD or I don't know, vinyl just seems to take like 18 years now to get a copy, something pressed. So I don't know. We'll see. Something will come out somehow.
One last question. Astro Surfer Go-Go has very Jetsons-like artwork. Who did your artwork for that?
Friend of mine, Edgar Beals, who he's done all our albums, actually. He's done every single album cover except for Live in Hell. Was the only one that he didn't do. But he's done every single album cover for us and all the digital stuff too. So he's phenomenal. I grew up with him in a small town in Nova Scotia. We went to the same high school. kind of hooked up again later in Halifax. He's like a year older than me, so in high school I didn't know him that well, but I knew who he was to talk casually to. But yeah, he's done all our album covers. He's a phenomenal artist, and we actually have a band that's he and I, an odd electronic band called Sonic Messiah. So if you search for Sonic Messiah, you might find some odd stuff somewhere out in the internet that actually was my transition band between my heavy metal band and surf, was Sonic Messiah with Edgar, because I just filling the time, and Sonic Messiah just pops up here and there when we have time to play some weirdo electronica.
That's awesome.
It's all fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Edgar Beals, definitely, he's the guy.
You've led a very rich musical life, and it sounds like such a great time. So bravo, man, bravo.
Well, thank you, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to get a hold of me and talk surf and stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You have a great night, Mikey, and I wish you and your bass player the best, and your brother and your sister, and I think it's great you're doing stuff with family, and I think that's important. If you can,
absolutely,
to do something creative with your family is really a gift.
Oh, it is. Plus, plus I'm the oldest of all my siblings, so I can just tell my mom on them if they're
not. Nice. All right, man. Have a great night, Mikey.
All right. Thank you. Take care, Ryan.